Welcome to the SFSP new sponsor training for training requirements within the program. During this recording, you will hear about what will be expected of your organization for training. Training within the Summer Food Service Program is a key piece to ensuring your operations run smoothly and that you and your staff are adequately prepared. Training should occur throughout your entire planning and operational stages of the SFSP. There are two main training requirements to note for this program. At least one representative from the sponsor's organization must attend the annual RIDE SFSP training, and sponsors must train their staff, both administrative and site staff, on civil rights and their respective job functions as they relate to the SFSP. As you review this PowerPoint, keep in mind that the training RIDE provides is a high-level training, as it is not possible for us to provide training in a way that accounts for every sponsor's specific operations and needs. Your organization should develop and deliver training to personnel that are reflective of the sponsor's and/or site's actual operations. Training among SFSP staff is usually divided up into administrative and operational topics, with the exception of civil rights, as everyone must receive training on this topic. As the sponsor, you must train your key SFSP staff on items related to their specific job functions within the program. Key staff can be considered anyone with primary responsibility of SFSP operations, staff who maintain records that support the monthly claim for reimbursement, and staff with responsibility for ensuring compliance for any other program requirement. Sponsors must attend the RIDE annual training in order to participate in the program for the upcoming summer season. One representative is required to attend from each organization, and it's recommended that it is an administrative staff member. Sponsors are responsible for providing training to sites and their respective staff as follows: an annual SFSP training for all key program staff, training for SFSP staff before beginning operations at a new site, and training any new staff that will have SFSP responsibilities. When developing an annual training for administrative staff, the sponsor should make sure that, at a minimum, the required training topics shown on this slide are included and speak to the organization's actual practices. This training should explain the program requirements and respective duties that administrative staff would need to know to administer the program at the sponsor level. This training should be geared toward and include any administrative staff that have any SFSP responsibility outside of operational duties. This may include assistants, clerks, bookkeepers, secretaries, area supervisors, and monitors. It's important that the training is provided in a clear and comprehensive manner. In the event of staff turnover and/or absences, this training should be informative enough that someone could step in and administer the program in a way that meets all basic requirements. Although the monitor is considered administrative personnel, they must understand the operational requirements of the program as well in order to adequately review sites and provide appropriate corrective action and technical assistance. Therefore, the monitor should attend both the administrative and operational trainings to fully understand program requirements. It is the sponsor's responsibility to provide sufficient training to the monitor, and at a minimum, the sponsor should include the topics seen on this slide. If your organization will have multiple monitors, it's important that each monitor is aware of which sites they are responsible for monitoring. Monitors should know what is expected of them for site visits and reviews, such as when to arrive, how to complete the monitoring form, and each corresponding validation activity, and any follow-up procedures. The sponsor should communicate their expectations of how the monitor will document their visit or review and what happens once the review is completed. For example, do they submit their reports to an administrative staff member or store the forms in a specific spot? Is the monitor expected to provide a debrief with the sponsor, etc.? Be sure the monitor understands how to correctly complete the annual beneficiary data form and that they know which source of information to use. In order to have a successful meal service, the site staff, also referred to as operational staff, need to be provided adequate training prior to operations beginning. Note that if any staff are absent, the sponsor must offer a rescheduled training session to ensure all staff receive training. It is highly recommended that sponsors provide training and technical assistance opportunities throughout the summer, even in an informal manner. These should also be documented to fully demonstrate the full scale of training provided by the sponsor. While not every single bullet point on the next couple of slides will be applicable to every sponsor's training, it is important that a sponsor's training for site staff includes information on the specific procedures and expectations of the program as it relates to your operation on the following topics: general explanation of the program, civil rights, record-keeping requirements, site operations, and monitoring. This is a continued list of site staff training topics. Please feel free to pause the video if you would like to take notes. RIDE strongly recommends including miscellaneous training topics, such as those shown on this slide, for events or circumstances that may occur during a meal service that staff should be prepared to handle. A key consideration for the trainings you provide is how will training be managed? Will you have multiple people deliver training depending on the topic or audience? Who will oversee training to make sure all requirements are met and appropriately documented? Where will training documentation be stored or maintained? The sponsor should consider storing these records in a place that is accessible for another designated employee to locate if needed. In regards to what the sponsor must specifically document for a formal training session, the following is required: dated agenda and sign-in sheets for each training. The dated agenda should also include the name of the presenter and the list of SFSP topics. The sponsor's agenda should list specifics of what will be covered for each topic, or the sponsor should save the supporting training materials. This allows RIDE to verify that the sponsor is delivering correct training content when conducting a program review. Sign-in sheets should also be maintained in order for RIDE to validate that all staff with program duties received the required training. Make sure sign-in sheets include the date of training, the printed name, signature, and associated site for each person in attendance. Note that signatures need to be either handwritten or an appropriate electronic signature or validation. Typed signatures are not acceptable. There may be times in which an employee completes or receives training in an informal setting, such as verbal training on site or an employee reviewing a policy procedure related to their job function within the SFSP. In the scenario in which a sponsor gives a staff member a quick, informal training on site, the sponsor should document an overview of what was discussed, the date, and the signature of the employee. If a staff member is reviewing a policy or procedure related to their job function, such as the organization's procedure for submitting the monthly claim for reimbursement, the employee should maintain the document and resource and record the date and their signature to validate that they reviewed it. If you have any questions regarding the Summer Food Service Program, please reach out to any of the following contacts listed on the slide.